One of the things that I developed when I was renovating the casa, the house inside, was the California modern trimless windows. Now what do I mean by trimless? Normally when you see a window in a wall, it has a wooden trim around the outside of it on the wall. Well, for me, having trim like that in California does not really define what it is to be a really ultra-modern sort of home, and I really love the ultra-modern sort of look. So let's go inside and see what I did, and then I'll show you how it's made using the materials that I have here, what's called the L tearaway, half-inch L tearaway. And if we come inside past the Wolfie boy, you'll see what I'm talking about here. All the windows that I put into the Rancho, you see they don't have any outside trim on them. And to me it makes a really clean detail. What makes ultra modern is really nice square corners. Like in here, the beam from side to side up here used to have a curve coming up on the wall here and then down on the other side. It just screams 1950s. So I removed the curve and straightened that out. And now the whole house just seems ultra modern. And a big part of that is the lines are so clean around the house. If you look at this window here, there's no trim around the outside of it. It's really clean angles. Probably there's more light in here to see. But if you see this detail, there's no trim around the outside of it, but all the corners are really square and clean, and it gives a nice finishing beauty detail. Now the way I did that, if you look real closely on the side over here, you'll see a little strip along the back there, and that's flexible. That pushes up against the actual replacement glass windows there. This is all new windows in the house, the double pane low E with argon gas between the windows. But there's a way that you can make this, and if you're going for an ultra modern sort of finish on windows, which I like, and of course this wouldn't be good on a colonial or Georgian, but if you have a home you're trying to get a really modern look, I think you'll agree that in the breakfast nook, these four windows really look good the way they're trimmed out. Now, the way I do that, and you can see I did that on both sides. I added windows here. This was all dark back here. There was no glass, just a door. I put a glass door and glass windows. Now, actually, when you sit at the desk here and work, the views are brought in from the outside due to the extra glass area and the nice way that they're finished out. So let's go out and see how that's done, because we're going to do the same thing on the Shine Shack windows here using the L tearaway. The first thing I'm going to do today is I have to finish trimming out the windows. You can see the drywall comes up a little short coming over here. I'm going to lay some pieces in there on both sides, and once I get that flush here, it's already flush down here and up on the top, what I'm going to do then is cut pieces of drywall that will go in there like that. They'll fit flush to the wall. This one's not been cut yet back here, but this will sit flush to the wall, and it'll go up almost but not quite touching the window frame over there on the new construction window. And then what I will do is lay in what's called that J channel, that L tearaway, excuse me, and you can see how that butts right up against the window. And I'll then take, don't know where that went, here it is, a piece of the fiberglass tape, and I will actually lay that over that, and then mud to fill up to the little edge that you see on here, and that gives a really super fine finishing detail, and it makes it really square and it looks good. So that's the plan for today. And I'll show you along, once I get all the windows trimmed out to the proper size, I'll show you step by step how I do that, because this is something you really might want to try for yourself. Window opposite the bathroom door here as our demonstration window, and you can see that I've now brought the drywall, the sheetrock, in flush with the edge of the wood all the way around. So what we want to do now is go around and make sure that this drywall, this sheetrock, doesn't have any high spots that'll prevent the finished trim drywall from sitting nice and flat. And we want to check all the sides on here too, the top, everywhere along here. We've got to make sure that that drywall is going to be level when we fit those pieces on there. So it feels pretty good to me. I've got it cleaned up good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fit my top piece on first. I'm going to measure and fit that on. I'm going to use the finish edge sheetrock. In other words, this the finished edge on the outside of, you can see sheetrock has a unfinished edge after you cut it, and it has a finished edge. I want to make sure that the finished edge is on the inside, so I have as clean and perfect a line as possible when I go to put the L tearaway channel in there. Okay, and then I'm going to use the metal cornering material that I used over there to make that corner. I'm going to use that to give us a nice, strong, durable corners on the outside, because window sills take a lot of wear and tear, and we want to make sure those edges are very well protected. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do the top piece first, then I'm going to lay in the two side pieces, and they're going to go all the way down to the bottom. Then I'm going to lay in the bottom piece, and that'll butt in there real good. Okay, so let's get rolling on that. Okay, here's a good hint when you're trimming out, doing the interior sheetrock trim, the drywall in here. You want to make sure you don't want to push this up all the way against the window. Okay, that's not the function of the piece of interior drywall here. That's the function of the L tearaway. And what happens is, you have to make sure that you have enough room in here that this can slide in, and you see how tight that's going to be against the window. That's going to form your super seal, and then we're going to have the metal bracketing on the outside the corner, and then we're going to lay in some fiberglass tape in here, and then mud it. And you're going to see how nice and smooth that turns out. So make very sure that when you're doing it, that you definitely save room to slide up that piece of L tearaway, okay? And instead of tearing it away, we let it remain, and it forms a really nice lip around the window. So I'm going to go ahead and trim out the rest of the pieces here. Okay, just like that, we've got the inside trim done. Now it's just a matter of making sure it's loose enough all the way around, and I'm a little tight over on this side. So I'll take a putty knife and just work it down here. That will ensure I have room enough to get the J trim, excuse me, the L tearaway trim in there. And that will be fine there. So the next thing we want to do is get the outside cut for the metal here, and that's not too difficult. And what I use is a pair of the industrial sort of tin snips here to cut the metal, and then hook that on around the exterior. So I'll do that now. One of the things when you're doing is the tin snips do a real good job of cutting is, I like to make sure I work it underneath of the down pieces of the sheetrock, the interior trim. That just gives a little more strength to it, and you know, it's going to lay perfectly level in there. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that piece down, and then get the other pieces tightened and secured. Had to make a little trip outside. I needed more of the corner bead, the 8-foot corner bead, which I got, and you can see that I've now finished trimming out the outside of the window. I've got all the metal, and that's going to give really strong angles and really good support for the windowsill, because windowsills, as I mentioned, they take a lot of abuse. So I really like to have, I'm not going to use Ultraflex or some other cornering media. drywall tape. I want something that's good and substantial. Now it's time to start cutting the L tearaway 1/2 inch here, and I want to make sure that I miter the corners so that they fit. I just don't want the corners to meet down here and here. I want to cut a 45-degree angle on each of them so it fits in very nicely, and I'll show you what I mean when I go cut the first 2 pieces. Okay, so I'm going to get the tearaway now and get her started. This mitering, the L tearaway, is really a critical part of getting a good fit, good snug fit around the window, and you can see how snug the bead fits across there. It is really nice and tight. You want to measure carefully. But another thing you want to do, if you look up here, I've mitered these corners at 45 degrees, so they fit perfectly. They fit virtually perfectly in there. Okay. If I was to just have them square, one would be overlapping the other, and it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't give the best sealing possible. So you can see I have the strips roughed in, and what I'm going to do to secure that, I'm not going to use screws. I'm going to get the staple gun, and I'm going to staple that in there at 2 or 3 places. Then get the fiberglass tape and lay that in. And then mud that. So what I'm going to do now is finish cutting the L tearaway pieces and pop them in here. Okay, I've now completed laying in all the L tearaway, and you can see how nice I've made all the joints so that they fit really good, and that's going to give a super seal against the window. Now I want to take the staple gun and hit it in a few spots just to keep it secure. It's kind of a press fit now. It's not really going to go anywhere, but I want to make sure she's really secured in, and then I'll put I'll start laying in the fiberglass tape. See, I have some slight raised portions here. I want to get these knocked down a little bit. Okay, then I'll lay in the tape and we'll apply the mud. We'll also tape these outside wings too on this side. Okay, gone along really good.
Medical procedure at Start Fresh Recovery. Alcohol cravings immediately. Just like that. I'm 55 years old. I've been drinking for approximately 10 years. I had these procedures. The procedure virtually painless this morning, and I'll tell you, virtually no. I had lunch with no desire to walk over the virus, and it's been 8.5 months. No alcohol.
Ooh, perfect.
Feeling good. Lost 35 pounds. Coming back, and my family and sister can get you 100%. You can beat this single thing that I've ever done. Thousands have been treated with this life-changing procedure. For more information, call 800-852-1370. 852-1370.
That's secured on there really good.
USA.com. Recovery Physician Improvement Center.
Hi folks, this is Sick. As one of those TV dads, I had to touch the kids about money, so here goes. Rule number 1. Mess with the IRS. They're
awesome.
Down this year.
All right. Just like that, she's all secured down. And we're ready to put the tape on, the fiberglass tape, and get her mudded. You can see I've now got all the fiberglass tape laid in, and that's going to give a really unibody, sort of one-piece feel to the whole window when that drywall mud is laid in there. I've got the wings taped, and I took some staples too and shot them in to keep things secure. Just make sure you sink those staples and they're not above the surface of where you're going to put the drywall mud in. So now it's time to go ahead and mud these windows, and we'll just take it and work the knife along here, and it'll fill in very beautifully there, as you'll see. You can see I've got the top and 2 sides done, and don't worry the first coat if you first coat through with the drywall mud. If you don't achieve perfection, it's fine. You know, you can always, it always takes 2 coats usually to do a good job for infill. You're just trying to work it in real good and get it as smooth as possible. And I'll demonstrate the way I do it. I have some mud here, And I'll go ahead and lay that in like that. First I lay it sideways, making sure to push it up against there. And don't worry if it runs up a little high. Pushing it in, getting it all set in there, and then we'll come back and run down the edge there on the inside and fill it in. You can see it's just like buttering bread, huh? And then what I'll do is I'll just sweep back like that, and you can see the way that fills that in really nicely. And don't worry about if you get a little bit on the plastic there, that'll come right off. Let me reload, keep going along here. And I just spread that mud out like that. Take it in like that. You know, it's not rocket science, it's just infilling. And the edge of the L tearaway strip there provides a perfect ledge to pull the knife along, like so. And you can see how very nice that does. Don't worry about a lot of low spots and stuff like that. We're just trying to get it on. If you're anal retentive, you can run along there and pull that off like that and clean it up, and then just run your knife back again. But don't waste a lot of time going over and over. It can always be cleaned up later. Grab another load here. Work that in, and get the cornering done. You can see how that corner is filling in real nicely, and you can just back pull there. Just get it in so you got a really good base of it, and I'll wipe the knife off a little bit here. Got that barely balanced on there, and then I'll go back and just sort of drag that along and clean that good. Then I'll head back, and I'll get a little bit of that goo off of the edge there, and then sweep that right back down onto the surface. So that's all I need for a first coat on that, and that's perfect. So what I'll do now is go ahead and mud the outside perimeter, and after 2 coats of you skim coat the second time with a little bit of a mixture of water and drywall mud, and it will be beautiful. You can take your knife and clean off the plastic where you get a little bit of the mud on there, and it cleans up really good. So that's the way we do it, and I'll mud the outside and show you the finished result of how we do a nice ultra modern trimless window finish. Okay, and just like that, you can see the first window is done, at least first coat mudded, and what a difference it makes, huh? To have a trimless finish with the L tearaway strip just makes something so clean and so lovely, and you don't need to worry about any wood trim on the outside. It just keeps it very clean and ultra modern. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on preparing and doing trimless drywall windows for your place. Working a little bit of sheetrock, a little bit of mud, a few specialized pieces that are available at drywall supply houses, like the half-inch L tearaway strip, can really make a beautiful presentation, just like I showed you in the house there. It looks awesome. It's clean, it's streamlined, it screams modern. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching this upload on how to create beautiful trimless windows.